A system of equations can be solved without using a graph. One of the ways we can do this is by using a method called substitution. If we look at the system, y is equal to x minus 3 and y equals negative x plus 5, by using a graph in the previous lesson, we already saw that the answer to this is 4, 1. But if you don't want to use a graph, here's what we'll do. I'll look at my two equations. I see it has both x's and y's in it. I'm going to try to get rid of either x or y. So let's see. Y is equal to negative x plus 5. It's also equal to x minus 3. I'm going to take this x minus 3 and I'm going to substitute it in place of this y. So we're starting with the second equation. I see there's this y here, but this y is also equal to x minus 3. So I'm going to take this and put it in place of this y right here. That is x minus 3 is equal to negative x plus 5. So what I did is I took two equations and reduced it down to one equation, this, and it has only one variable in it, just x. This means I can solve for x. I'm going to do this by adding x to both sides. This gives me 2x minus 3 is equal to 5. I'll then add 3 to both sides, which gives me 2x is equal to 8. I'll divide both sides by 2, and I get x is equal to 4. So again, just to recap, I had two equations. I took the second equation. I saw there was a y here, and I replaced it. I substituted this x minus 3 in place of this y. It took me to this equation, which had only x's in it, which allowed me to solve for x. The only thing we don't know at this point is, well, I know x, but what's its corresponding y value? To figure that out, I can just go back to this very first equation, put 4, the thing I just figured out, in place of this x, and solve for y. So that is y is equal to negative x plus 5. I just figured out that x is equal to 4, and that means y is equal to 1. So x is 4, y is 1. That's the point 4, 1. And this matches up with the value we got in the previous lesson, and that is it for this example. So let's try this idea one more time, just with a different set of equations here. We have 4x plus 3y is equal to 20, and 2x minus y is equal to 5. The goal is to find where these two lines intersect, but I'd like to do that without using a graph. So if we're going to use substitution, I think the approach I'm going to take is, I'm going to take my second equation and I'm going to solve it for y. So let's see, I'll write this off separately here, but I have 2x minus y is equal to 5. To solve this for y, I'm going to add y to both sides. I get 2x is equal to 5 plus y. And I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides of my equation, which gives me 2x minus 5 is y. Okay, I just used the second equation, and I have not yet used the first. What I'm going to do is take this y and substitute it right here. So I'm going to replace this y with 2x minus 5. Okay, if we write this out, I'm going to my first equation, which is 4x plus 3y is equal to 20. And in place of this y, I'm going to write 2x minus 5. I'm going to substitute that in. We have 4x plus 3 times 2x minus 5 is equal to 20. So I've taken, again, both equations and I've used them to reduce it down to one equation that has only x's in it. I can now solve this thing for x. So I have 4x plus, I'm going to distribute the 3 into the parentheses. Multiplying it in, I get 6x minus 15, that's equal to 20. Let's see, 4x and 6x is 10x. minus 15 is equal to 20. If I add 15 to both sides, I get 10x is equal to 35. Dividing both sides by 10 gives me x is equal to 3.5. Now the only thing that I do not know is what is the corresponding y value. I can use any equation that connects both x's and y's. I'm noticing that this is probably the easiest equation that we have that does that, so I'm going to put 3.5 in place of this x and solve for y. So that is, I go back to this equation, I'm going to put 3.5 in place of x and go from there. Okay, so let's see, 2 times 3.5, that is 7. If I subtract 7 from both sides, I get negative y is equal to negative 2. And dividing both sides by negative 1 gives me y is equal to positive 2. So great, I have two things now. I have x is equal to 3.5, y is equal to 2, and I'll write that as my solution to this system of equations. So we got this answer without using a graph, but we still used both equations to get it.